Cold. Can you see yourself? Yep. You can see it? Okay. Yep.
So we'll just,
all right.
Well, I'll leave it alone because I can see it.
No, you're good.
Enough that...
I'm going to double check that's actually plugged in. That's terrible. Horrible. Okay guys, so you know that we have been living off-grid since I think April, and which means that we have very limited power. We do have a little tiny bit of power, but it goes to our fridge and my computer. And what has really made this possible has been our hand pump. And because hauling water is really, really heavy work. And a lot of people that think they want to go off-grid talk about how they're going to pull water out of a stream, or I know some people use cisterns, and cisterns can be safe, but in some areas maybe they won't be, or there's not enough rainfall. And it's expensive to have water hauled in. Mm-hmm. And so we have had the pump on our well for 5 years now. Kaya is the one that pumps with it. She's our little 8-year-old. And we are able to do all of our cooking, cleaning, all of our hygiene, all of our laundry, using water from that hand pump. And this is Stephanie. She is the one who made our pump and made it in such a way and at such a price that we could afford to put it on without it being hardly any size expenditure at all. It was so inexpensive, and it has worked so well for us. The other pumps that we had looked at were between $2,000 and $6,000, and we have been nothing but happy with this. We had 2 weeks where I didn't call Stephanie, I didn't call Stephanie, I didn't call Stephanie, where the pump was a little bit harder to pull, and it turned out there was a nut that had come loose. But it was something that Stephanie could have talked John through over the phone. She came out and fixed it for me because we live like 15 minutes away from each other, if that. But did you want to tell about the pump a little bit, how deep it can go, pricing, and that kind of thing?
Sure. So the pump, it was my dad's invention, Gavin Knighton, and he developed it because he was looking at the prices, what Julie was talking about, of $2,000, $6,000, and he was saying this is going to be what is the major emergency, is water. So when he looked at what they cost, he said there's hardly anybody that can afford to do that for a preparedness kind of thing, that they're not going to be using it on a regular basis. When he saw that, he was an engineer and is used to trying to develop things himself, so he came up with this pump and stuck one in as well. And then he just, a few neighbors saw it, a few people, and he developed it into now several models later. This is what we have. I've been installing for 7 years, and we have recently come up with a model that we can ship to people that they can install it themselves, because obviously I can't drive all over the country installing these. So we now have a model that we can ship to people. The price for the model that we ship is $300 for 45 feet, and then after that you pay per length. They're 6-foot lengths, and I can't remember exactly what price that we have on the 6-foot lengths, but you pay for length after that depending on what the depth of your well is. So the package would be according to how big, how many lengths that you have to have. Comes with instructions. The instructions are printed and then put in the shipment as well. And then on our website we have videos that can help you to install it yourself. We're trying to make it so that it's very little specialty equipment. You don't have to have any specialty equipment. You're going to have something to drill through your cap to make that accessible. But it's nothing that you couldn't get at any hardware store to be able to put it together. It's been a real huge blessing for us, and it's been really fun as we've seen some of the stories that come back of people who've needed to use our pump, whether they've lost power to their pump because of a switch that went out. Some of them, one of them had the line that was from their house to their pump was cut, and they had to completely dig up a whole bunch of ground, and so for a week or two they were without power with that. Several stories that weren't even any disasters of an earthquake or anything like that. It was just people have something that they're without water for a week or two, and then they are really in an uncomfortable situation unless they have water. It doesn't take very long to really be uncomfortable when you don't have water.
Yeah. I have a friend that when we had power outages in the winter, their water storage that was in their garage froze solid, and they didn't have any water, and she had 6 kids at home, and the roads were impassable. They couldn't get into town to get anything, and so them not having a pump meant that they were drinking pop and Gatorade that they'd kept in the house in the warm space around their kerosene heater, anything that wasn't stored out in the garage. So even if you have storage water, it doesn't mean that it would necessarily always be available. And if you have animals, if you have any kind of livestock, you don't really want to be using your precious indoor stored water to be watering your animals. And in an extended situation, you don't want to be using your stored water for hygiene. You are not going to be taking baths. You're not going to be washing your laundry. But we, since, let's see, we got our little washer, I think 2 months ago. Since we got our little washer that doesn't use very much water, we have been doing our laundry off-grid using water from the pump. It took 12 gallons to do all of our laundry. It was not a big deal. And it really means the difference sometimes between being healthy and being sick, because when the hygiene isn't really taken care of and you're not really prepped for that, that's when people start to kind of get sick from being too dirty.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a baby. So if you have a baby, even if you have cloth diapers in a situation, how are you going to wash those cloth diapers without water?
Yeah. And it's incredible how much water you have to use. People will say, I've got a ton of water. And one of the people who had to use our pump, or that ordered our pump, she had a fire in their pump house, and so they were without any way to do it. And she said she could not believe how much water they went through. They thought they had quite a bit of water storage, and she said, I couldn't believe how fast we used water. It was incredible.
Yeah. Or if you have a milk animal, a lot of people who watch me, they have milk animals. If you have a cow, do you understand that you're going to have 20 gallons of water a day going to that cow? Because if she's giving you 7, 8, 10 gallons of milk a day, how much of that is water? Mm-hmm. Or even a milk goat, how much water does she have to go through in order to create that milk? And that doesn't include a garden. What if you have an extended period where you have a garden and there's some reason that you don't have electricity, and so you can't get water to a garden, but you do have the water in your well? In our area we have canals, so it's not as big of a deal. But if you're in another area, and I have a tendency to go prepper really quick, where I'm just like, what if we didn't have water for our gardens? But I mean, most people, maybe that wouldn't be the first thing that you would panic about. But for me, if I had a vegetable garden and it was something we were really relying on, it would be nice to have water. And even if we were walking it a gallon at a time, you know,
to be able to keep it alive until you got some rain. Yeah,
so, you know, stuff like that. So I do automatically go all prepper Rambo gear. So for me, like, essential tools are a wood burning stove and a hand pump and some kind of shelter. You need those things in order to survive. And a lot of people think that they're going to be pulling water out of a canal, or they're going to be melting snow. So for instance, if you think you're melting snow, what if you don't get as much snow that year? And do you realize how much snow you have to melt to get a gallon of water? And do you have a heat source that you're willing to be using to get that water melted? If you don't have a wood stove to melt snow, you're not going to be melting snow. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, our pump is significantly lighter than any of the others that I have seen, and I don't claim that I've seen everything, but it's significantly lighter than the others that I have seen. Most hand pumps will tell you that they can go down to 100 feet, and ours, we can go to 300 feet, and at 300 feet it's really heavy, but it is still possible to pump it. And most of the others don't even, a lot of people will tell them when they don't know that we exist. A lot of other well drillers will tell people, you can't put a hand pump on, your pump is too deep. Yeah. And we can do it all the time.
And when you're off grid, you will be surprised at the number of things that an adult needs to be able to delegate to a child.
Yeah.
Everything is manual at that point, and so what things you can delegate to children, you need to delegate to children. So it used to be that water was hauled by children and wood was hauled by children, and if you're going to be off grid or you're in an emergency situation, that's what happens again. The kids need to be able to help with as much as they can, and hauling water is an all-day thing. It's not like they're hauling water constantly, but every couple hours they're going to be hauling water, and having a child be able to do it is a really big deal. And there's a lot of areas where it's not a bad idea to even put one on your church or on your school, on a community building, so that you have a community well that could be used. And you can go down to 300 feet, right?
installing, I can go to 300 feet. I would recommend, if you're going to be installing it yourself, probably not past 200 is what I would probably recommend.
Which is still a pretty good deep well.
Yeah, that'll cover a whole lot of people.
Yeah. The phone number and email for people to get a hold of you, because you can't just order it off a website as something that gets mailed, because she needs to be able to talk to you, see what it is that you actually need for your location, and so you have to actually call her, contact her. And
we have it to where we're working on getting that. We have 2 websites right now. The one website is gkpump.com, and that's the website that people would contact me or look at as I install it. We also have another website that's freedomwaterpumps.com, and that one you can order through and just look at what the depth of your well is and what the specifics are you need, and you can order that one. But we're in the process of merging those 2 websites, and so as soon as that one gets shut down, then it would be more difficult. So if you wanted to call me or email me, and then we can get you what you need shipped to you so that you can put it in yourself. My website, I told you, is gkpump.com. Then my email address is gkpump@gmail.com, and then my phone number is 208-754-8681. It is a family-owned business, so sometimes my children will answer the phone and you might think you have the wrong number, but it's right, and we'll be happy to help you. That would be great.
Yeah, and even their kids come out and help with some of it, so it really is an amazing business, and they do an amazing job. Just so you guys know, I do make some money off of these pumps as well. We're trying to find a way to get away from advertisements on our YouTube channel that are for things we don't really believe in. A lot of the prescription advertisements or other advertisements that I don't actually feel bring value to your life, and so by being able to transition to something over like this with a product that I really believe in and I've used for so long, it just feels more holistic and wonderful to me. And so when you call her, when you contact her, make sure to let her know that I'm the one that sent you there, and make sure to share this on your Facebook and any of your other media outlets so people can get the word out about it. We would like everybody to be able to have one of these, and it supports both our families, so it means a lot to us. And anything else?
Not that I can think of
right
now.
All our buttons are on, our microphone is on, and we didn't have any wind, although we are getting blinded this time. So every time we're getting just a different set of parameters. Okay, so we will talk to you later.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the pump here. This just makes it so that everything stays clean. There's the only place that anything can get into your well is through this opening where the water comes out. So that's why you're going to keep that on there unless you're pumping it. The handles thread down, so you loosen those handles. And just as a bit of advice here, if you screw the handles down just to where they stop, and then if you come back about a quarter turn, if they get hit somehow, they have a little play in them. If you go to where it's hard and then they get hit, it's going to break that handle off. But if you'll open it just a little bit, so then it's still sealed up, but you're not going to break the handle. So then you loosen up those handles just like that until it comes loose, and then whatever you have, like Julie was just saying, if you can just put this into a little thing like this, works really well, because then you can just pump like this, and you get, well, there's your water coming out, and then you can fill that up, and you don't waste any water when you're coming into a little bottle like this. But you see how I can do this while I'm holding this, and I can do it one-handed, and it's not any big deal to pump this. If this was a lot deeper well, it definitely would be a lot harder to pump. But you can see the amount of water that I got in just not a very much amount of time. It gives a significant amount of water, but is still fairly easy to pump. And then when you're done, you just thread it back down like that. Again, just to where it stops, and then if you come back about a quarter turn, put the cap on, and that's as simple as it is. It'll drain back down so it doesn't freeze on you during the winter, and you can use it during the middle of the winter. But if you do, we were talking about before, this right here, you can see there's just a little teeny bit of water on there. If you build that up over and over, then it's a possibility that it can freeze.
Maybe do you want to pump it, and I'll show them where the water comes up so they can see.
Yeah.
That little tiny
There's
bit of water.
There's just a teeny tiny bit of water that'll coat over that. And as it coats and it freezes, and this is when it's like -18 or something like that. You can pump this without a problem in really cold weather, but when you get into the -10, -20s, then you'll want to keep that dry. Just use a rag or something and hold it here as you're pumping it so that it doesn't do that coating and freezing up.
And we've already pumped it in the teens, and there was absolutely no problem.
Yeah. Most of the time you can get it to where it's really cold and it'll still drain back down. You'll be just fine.
Cool.
Hi.
And she, we're struggling. Okay. And this is Stephanie.
Hi.
And
I know, when you asked me, do you want to tell me anything about it? You asked me something and I was like, didn't I already tell him that? Maybe that was
yeah,
the
we did
first
3
thing.
times now.
I know. What, did I say that in this one? Maybe not. We should have had it. We have our blackboard here like, check.
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 Check not having children running past. Check not having a kitten in the means that you could be in a world of hurt, in my humble opinion. Not very humble, unfortunately. But I think that's what you would worry about is water.
Yes.
Clean
and
water.
As we talked about on the first video, having it, that there are only a few things that are really going to kill you. And you have to have heat, you have to have shelter, and you have to have water. If you don't have enough water, it's not very long until you're in a really big trouble.